She doesn't even go here.
I'm bi, actually.
Excuse me. Could the ugly, untalented gays please report to the principal's office?
Hi, I'm Kurt Hummel, and I'll be auditioning for the role of kicker.
Hello! Welcome to Not So Straight Nerds. I'm your host, Alicia.
I am also your host, Luke.
Yeah, and today we have quite a big episode. We are definitely talking about The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 6, the, pre-finale episode, I guess. We have a lot to talk about with that.
A lot.
We're hoping to get to You Season 5 as well. We don't have near as much to talk about that. But we still want to, say something. So,
Sure.
yeah. So,
Yeah,
I
but
don't
before
know.
we get into all that, some fun conversations for sure. Vibe check. How are the vibes over there, Alicia?
I'm getting less sniffly by the day. So,
progress.
I'm doing great. Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. Anyways, summer is approaching. The heat is not fun, but the lack of allergies is. So, mic drop. There you go. Anyway, and I'm very excited to talk about this episode. When I tell you, I have so many notes. It's wild. I have so many notes.
She crazy.
And it's good things. I really liked this episode. This is my favorite of the season. Maybe not my favorite of the whole show, I don't think. But I feel like it's up there with, just off the top of my head, the Bill and Frank episode.
Okay.
I'm it's up there for me. So, yeah. It's a very nuanced episode, and that's what I've been wanting from this show. So, yeah, I'm happy to finally get it.
For sure.
So, yeah. What about you?
I'm doing really good. I had a lot of traveling this weekend, so I was gone Saturday to Monday. Had a flight at 5 in the morning, so I had to be up at 1 in the morning.
Gross.
And I just got back last night. So that was all. It was great to travel, but I'm so glad to be home.
Yeah. Once you're at the airport, it's kind of a vibe.
Oh, but the entire
But
time
then-
it's like,
Yeah. You're like, okay, my gate exists. Now I can relax for the next 2 hours doing nothing.
I can see that it is real. It's
Yeah.
not just an idea.
Because, you never know. Sometimes they're kind of hidden in, weird places. So it's always good to be like, it exists. It's here. Let me go grab some food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I've been stuck in the airport for a while when one of my flights got canceled. So it's, it's something.
Indeed.
Yeah.
But I also want to throw in that we're in a very exciting week to be doing the podcast. We have, this to wrap up. We have the conclusion of The Last of Us this weekend.
Yes.
We also have another possible Barbenheimer situation.
Yeah, a double
with
feature
Lilo and
here.
Stitch and Mission Impossible Final Reckoning.
Yeah.
So all kinds of fun stuff for us to be talking about. I'm very excited for all of it.
And Fear Street.
And Fear Street.
Gosh,
I love
Fear Street is unfortunately, I think, going to get a little bit buried, but I don't know. It's kind of fun that this time around that it is coming out just on Netflix, because maybe it won't get buried because it's in a totally different location. I guess you can't go see it in theaters, so
I don't think Fear Street came out in theaters.
No, but that's what I'm saying is unlike the other two. Yeah, maybe
That's a great point. I mean,
yeah, we'll still get some love, especially because people love that franchise. So, yeah, or trilogy or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, at what point does it become a franchise?
So overall, very excited, and we will start all of that with today's conversation on The Last of Us, Season 2, Episode 6, the flashback episode with Joel and Ellie.
Yeah.
So this is going to be our non-spoiler thoughts first. I think we'll try and get through them pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much detail to go into.
Mm-hmm.
I have a smaller list, so I'll
I
kick us
feel
off.
like most of my list is probably spoilery anyways.
So this episode is really great. It brings back Joel, and in the end blurb about the behind the scenes, they were talking about how this episode was important because it wasn't about seeing Joel, a character that we miss. It's about adding a lot more dynamics to him and Ellie's relationship and the legacy that Ellie has with him going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this episode absolutely does that.
Mm-hmm.
And it encapsulates how the highs and lows of this mother father-daughter relationship.
Mother. He fathered
This
so hard he
father-daughter
mothered. Love
relationship
it.
so well, and
Mhm.
like seeing like such great and beautiful highs, and then see, as they kind of grow, apart, and it truly puts me in my feels.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's a very emotional episode, and it's supposed to be. And I wanted to shout out Bella Ramsey because their performance in this episode is wild. I mean, same with Pedro Pascal. Both of them, like, if they're going to get an Emmy nomination or win, it's from this episode. For sure. Great performances all around. I love how Bella really shines within each age range as Ellie gets older, because this is a flashback and they have a few time jumps, and so she has to play what is it, 16? It's like the birthdays.
Starts at 6. I think it starts at 15.
Like
no, at 16
on her
17,
birthday. Yeah. So that's really fun, and you can see the differences, and I think that's pretty awesome. So props to them. They did great.
Yeah.
Love it. I'm glad they're also getting recognition for that. So, not just Pedro Pascal.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have 2 shining stars. And
For sure.
I love that.
Let's see. So I loved all that. Can't wait to get into the specifics. The love between these 2 characters is just like so visible.
Yeah.
And I really love the visuals in this episode and the way they really use the camera work to reflect that love, and where their headspace is at, and it all just comes off very artistically elevated. So
I agree.
It's all just such
Very
such
strong.
a fun ride.
Yeah.
And so visually interesting to look at.
Mm-hmm.
I also said, they do add something in here that I really loved, which was kind of looking at not just their relationship, but their relationship in the span of like how it comes from their past relationships with their parents, and and the way they incorporate all of that feels really well done.
Yeah.
And it does add, I think, a really interesting layer to all these conversations we
It does. It does. It's kind of a generational type of thing, like trying to seeing what your parents did and trying to do better than that. I think that's very human, very beautiful, and they explore that really well in this episode. Gosh, even when sometimes like you think you're doing better in some ways, but maybe you're not, like they explore that too.
Yeah.
I love the questions that they ask in this episode. It's very fascinating to me. I don't believe, from what I've read, okay, I'm going to try to dance around this. A certain parent that is shown in a flashback does not happen in the game.
The opening scene, I believe, is completely original to this show.
Yeah. And oh my gosh, this is what adaptations need to be doing, not just having an adaptation from whatever their, book, game, whatever. They add to it. And I love that because especially when it's a show, you have the time to grow and expand on that. And I think when they decide to do it, sometimes it works out really well. And I think this is one of those moments. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Very glad they added this.
What else did I have? Some great visuals.
Times. Oh, we get another song.
Ooh, yep. And this one also really got me. But this one got me in a different way in that.
Oh, she saw the bug.
Roxy, our manager, is going crazy with this person trying to listen in on our podcast before it's released.
Literally a bug in our podcast. That's crazy.
But Joel does sing a song on the guitar.
Yeah.
And this one, the last song with Ellie, that one really worked for me because it was kind of like the birth of their official relationship. This one speaks to something a lot more tragic.
Yeah.
And with looking at Joel's history and Joel's future, it all feels...
Gosh.
Like, it feels like it's, like, just in the perfect moment to be, like, in between these, like, such horrible times. And it is nice to see such happy times for them.
Yeah.
In just this, like, brief
like,
moment.
hey.
It's like, hey, your life sucked,
Sometimes.
but you had this day.
Yeah.
And it's like, ugh.
Oh my gosh.
And I think because, it's just so special with the characters, it feels like a very special episode of the show as well.
Yeah.
Ugh. So.
It's great.
Then we see some interesting stuff there. We see a scene that's kind of added into some of the context of episode 1,
Mm-hmm.
which I know some people apparently had some issues with. Kind of, I would say them just not understanding why their relationship was where it was when we come into the second season.
Yeah.
People saying like, "Oh, she's a moody teenager." We've seen that so many times before. But I mean, we had conversations about how, it's all very purposeful and there's a lot of reasons. And I think there's a scene that adds
It's hard to
into
watch,
that
but
really well.
yeah.
And
Good reason.
Yeah, I super love the layers this adds in, and I think it's even more powerful adding it in after the fact.
Me too.
So I think the non-linear structure here.
Mm-hmm. Very fascinating. Keeps you on your toes and wonders, and the game does that too in many circumstances where it kind of jumps around and adds stuff when it feels like it's necessary. So, yeah. That's all I want to say about that.
Absolutely. And then there's also there's also a look at Joel coming to terms with Ellie's sexuality, which I think, and I haven't seen a lot of talk about it, but
I have.
Because I haven't also been looking for it either.
Okay.
So, because I was late to watch this episode.
I have a lot
so I was quickly scrolling anytime I saw something even vaguely like, no.
Nope. Joel, nope.
But it's
so much.
Very fascinating conversation. Seeing him come to terms with that, and I think some people can very easily take this in the wrong direction of what it's meant.
It kind of reminds me of that conversation, which was not near as big around Sinners, but where they're asking, was Remick being racist? And the director did say he didn't mean for it to come off like that. He didn't intend that. Because I know they're having a lot of conversation in this episode on whether Joel was being homophobic or not. But I find that conversation really interesting because I think, either way, the way it worked out, I think is just really interesting to his character. I'm trying to dance. It's hard to be vague and talk about it at the same time.
This one, I
don't know.
And I'd say they are very similar conversations, actually.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
But, I've seen a ton of people be like, of course, or not at all, or lots of opinions
My
there.
take on it, as someone with 2 straight fathers, very Joel-esque, and, being a gay son to them, it feels very real the way they approach it.
Yeah.
And especially in the context of what this whole episode arc is as you see them get older and you see their relationship change. I really love the way that element of Ellie is just something that he doesn't know. And in these earlier episodes, you see such amazing and beautiful examples of this father knowing his daughter and wanting to make her happy on this big day, and these super personalized things that he did for her, and it's these beautiful and amazing gestures. And then there's that scene that kind of encapsulates a lot of the conversation, and it's Joel being forced in the face with, this is not I have this idea of what you are. Here's 20 examples of you not being
because it's
the girl that I think
multiple
you
things
are,
happening there.
And this is one of them. But to Ellie, this is something that was always a part of her.
Yeah.
And so, of all the things, this is the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a bigger sadness that is more a thing to Joel in this situation with him, not being able to connect or not being on the same level as his daughter, and kind of losing touch with who she is, and that's borderline the last thing he wants.
Yeah.
So,
And I think it's interesting because I think we talked about this in an earlier episode where for him and Sarah, his like biological daughter, he didn't get to like grow up with her in the ages that he's now having to be with Ellie as a father-daughter kind of thing.
correct.
So this is totally new territory to him. He doesn't know what to do with the reality where he doesn't completely know her now. I mean, like, he still know parts of her, but like things are changing and he's shocked by that and he has a reaction, and then maybe later he's kind of like, okay, let's talk about it. I'm more like,
And I also don't want this to come off as Joel was in the right for the way he acted, because that is, not how you deal with that situation under any circumstance. But it's
very real,
a lot
though.
of very overwhelming him. It's a lot of things, and that's the most important thing to Ellie.
Yeah.
There's 20 other things going through his head as well on top of that. So it's hard for it's hard for him to have approached the thing with a correct mind in the first place.
Yeah.
So, and Joel, I love Joel. He's not perfect.
No, and I don't think he's supposed to be.
He would never say that he was.
No, because that's his whole character. He's
Problematic
very
king.
flawed. Yeah, he's very problematic and flawed. Yeah, but yeah.
But all around, it just makes this whole episode feel so grounded and really real. And the reason these characters are so sad, to me, I inherited is because there is that big disconnect between them, and it keeps growing, and they clearly don't want it there.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's. I don't know. Well, you're talking about the characters, right?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. For some reason, I had in my mind like 10 seconds ago that you were talking about the audience being disconnected. Never mind.
Oh,
I don't even know. Don't even ask me why my mind went there. It's fine. I kind of spaced out. I looked at my cat and then I was like, audience? No. You're talking about the characters. Right. Anyways. Anything else?
I think that's all I had prose-wise without getting into some of the spoiler talk. Is there anything?
There's some more conversation about the lie that Joel told Ellie at the end of season 1.
Yeah.
Some other interesting layers to that. We'll talk about in the spoiler section. Hey, Roxy. Going on to some of my cons, I will say we do meet Eugene this episode in the flashbacks.
Yeah.
And I will also say
he's something.
It is a fact that he is not in any other episode of this show.
Yep.
And maybe that's for the best? I don't know. Considering this was a character that, like, I was looking forward to seeing.
Yeah.
Because there was this whole mystery around. They keep mentioning this thing, so it feels like we have to see or learn more about it later.
Yeah.
And then,
which, to be fair, we don't learn much about him.
Correct.
But the little we do is not great. So.
For whatever reason, I almost want to say the actor was just maybe a little miscast, or there was just a disconnect with the performance and
which,
kind
to
of
be
the
fair,
role
that's an
it's supposed to
original
fill.
character too. But that's the perfect example of sometimes they do it well and sometimes maybe not. What can you do?
But it's just, I don't know. Maybe it's a part of, like, the voice. I also think there was an element of it where sometimes, like, he was talking, but, like, the sound was weird. So, like, they're, like, looking at the side of his face, and it doesn't look like his face is moving, but you hear him talking. I don't know. There was a really weird element of the sound
didn't
there.
notice
whenever
that.
He's, like, turned away from there. So there was a disconnect for me there already. Also, on top of me being like, this scene feels weird.
He's not talking. That man is not real. It's the voices. It's
Indeed.
not real. That's
and
really
then-
funny. I didn't notice that. I'll have to look back at that.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But,
Okay.
and then I also continue to worry about what the finale of this season looks like, and that continues into what the next season looks like.
Yeah.
Because I would anticipate.
Well, and now, if you haven't seen on Twitter, they're now talking about a season 4. So that's just so.
What?
Yeah. Did I not tell you
You
that?
did not tell me
They're
that.
they're talking about a season 4. They said there's just no way we're gonna wrap up this story in season 3.
Did you not? What do you mean? What do you mean?
I'm saying,
You went through the whole game in one, and the least popular of the 2 games. You're making 3 seasons.
oh my god.
That's crazy.
Yeah. No, but they haven't been confirmed for season 4. They just have voiced that they want a season 4. So I'm hoping HBO Max puts their foot down. And yes, it's HBO Max now.
Again.
Again.
Guess who's back?
I'm hoping they put their foot down and say no.
I mean, if they're they
But-
put their foot down to gun.
I'm hoping they put their foot down and they're like, no. Especially because like I haven't seen a single soul online that has said, yeah, we need a season 4. Nobody wants a season 4. Everybody's like, that's ridiculous. Because then that means the 3rd season you're going to spend most of the season with Abby, which is just already sounds like a horrible idea. Even though I want to know more from Abby, but do you think the audience is going to stick around for an entire season about her?
Like, you
No.
needed to put in the work before she's the main character of your season.
Yep. And then what do you do for season 4? They're like, you don't need that much. Just make a longer season if you're that worried about it. I'm like, that's crazy. It's a horrible idea. I really hope they don't get to do it.
And it feels like it's going to be a lot of a similar conversation we're going to be having with you, season 5. in a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
So
Very true.
we'll get more into that in the
Anyways.
in the you, and there's a whole conversation to be had there that I want to briefly get into, but
Yeah. Or I hope like Bella Ramsey or Caitlin Dever book something so they can't do a season 4 or something. They're like, oh, okay, we'll do a season
they're
3
like,
and that's it.
I think my character might be in like Avengers Doomsday with every other fictional character ever.
They're like, actually, Ellie is gonna be like a Thanos moment.
They do like another like
I am
chair
inevitable.
thing, and like you see actors just like duct taping their like names
Yeah.
to the back of other chairs.
No, and I really, oh my gosh, I need to not get sidetracked. I was about to go on a side. Anyways, let's move on.
Get away
Let's
from
move
your
on.
tangent.
I'm sorry.
Anything else you want to add before we start getting spoiler pros and cons?
Not really. I want to get right into the spoilers.
Okay, let's
I'm
get
ready.
spoiler. You've been warned. We're getting into the spoilers of the episode.
3, 2, 1. The porch scene. Because that's kind of that's a spoiler, man. The porch scene doesn't happen till like almost the end of the 2nd game. So this is a very different spot for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this plays... Ooh. Never mind. I'm not going to say that. Anyways, never mind.
Right.
Let's just say it plays at a very different moment. And I will say, as much as I loved it being in this episode, I am kind of wondering, what are we going to see and think about instead of that scene being in that spot? I don't know. Anyways. Let's rewind though. Now that we've said our spoiler, let's rewind. Oh my gosh. Anyways, so the episode starts with Joel's dad,
Yes.
which is the sword
let me
man
find his name.
himself.
Jack.
Yeah. Which he was great. I was very happy to see his face.
It
I
was
was like, oh
very
my god,
nice
it's
to see
that
him
guy.
here.
Yeah. And
What's your name, Jack?
what is his name? Jack something. Jack
Duquesne.
Duquesne. I was about to say Duke
I'm trying to
Wade.
look for
I
the
was
actor's
close.
name.
I was
No.
close.
I'm not on the episode IMDb yet.
Be better.
No, I'm behind. I'm just lagging.
Anyways, so I really liked this opening.
Yes. Tony Dalton.
I also feel like, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like the actor for Joel, I was like,
kind of killed it.
he kind of killed it. Like,
No, I
okay,
felt the exact same
okay,
way.
thank you. Because I'm like, wait, like, cast this man in the Hunger Games or something. Like,
Hold on, where's
like
that
cast
kid?
him in the
Young
next
Joel,
big
Andrew
blockbuster.
Diaz.
Killed it.
He killed it.
Like, and he's wearing the same like button up as Joel, and it's like, and
Yeah.
I really love showing that this was always who Joel was.
Which I will say, in my opinion, neither one of the kids looked like they didn't look alike to me. But I don't care, cause, well, the younger brother didn't have like anything to do. But what was his name? The older brother, Joel. Yeah, he killed it.
Andrew Diaz.
I was like, honestly, cast him in the next big blockbuster because he was great. I want to see him in more stuff.
Yeah, he ate.
He really like captured his like anger in that scene when he was like, "You're not gonna hurt him." I was like, chills. Ate that up. Anyways, it was really cool. So assuming if you're in the spoiler section, you've probably seen, but I guess quick rundown if you haven't. The opening scene starts with Joel talking to Tommy about, like Tommy saying, I'm going to get the belt. Like, we clearly know he did something wrong and, like, his dad's going to punish him for it with, like, physical abuse. And Joel's like, no, don't worry about it. Like, I'll take care of it. You just go to your room. And he talks with his dad, and he's like, he didn't do anything. I did it, blah, blah, blah. And his dad's a cop. And his dad's like, I know Tommy did it because the people at the scene told me. And apparently there was like this fight because Tommy was buying drugs or selling drugs or something, pot. And Joel got in a fight to defend his little brother. And the whole thing happened. And he basically was really upset, said if you weren't my son, like you'd be in juvie. And he has this face, brilliant face. And he's like, you're not going to hurt him. The line delivery in his face, I love it. This is not the droid
you're looking for.
I love it. And it's one of those moments that really surprised me, actually. Like, I understand we're not supposed to like the dad. Because we're not supposed to like that he physically abuses his son. Or his sons, I guess.
Hot take, not a cool thing to do.
I understand that. However, this scene really surprised me because in any other media I've ever seen, he would, maybe have a conversation. This is why I do what I do and go do it. But he didn't do that in this scene.
That's why I do what I do. Sorry.
Dang. Okay.
Back on track.
Anyways, but he sat down and he had a genuine conversation with his son. And he said, my dad, I did something that made my dad angry one time. And he punched me so hard that he broke my jaw, and it was wired shut for 2 months. Everybody knew why, and it was super embarrassing. And I knew when I became a father that I wanted to do a little better than that. And he was basically saying, like, I felt like I have, but I know that I still make mistakes. And when you grow up, and if you ever become a father, I hope you do better than me. And that's the amazing line, I hope you do a little better than me, which is, like, the pivotal point. I don't know if that's the right word, but anyway, the most important line for the whole episode, because it comes back later at the last scene. And I really liked that line. I was like, I'm not gonna, it's kind of like when Seth was like defending Ellie. I was like, I don't like you now, but I'm hearing you out. And not like a hearing you out like, okay, maybe I agree with you, but more just like, that was a really interesting conversation.
Broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
And it does put them into like being a character instead of a caricature. So it's very interesting. It's clearly, the show's really good, I think, at showing that like this is a character that's done some horrible things.
Yeah.
But they're saying things that are, they're real.
Very
they're not
human.
here to just be the bad person in this one scene.
Yeah.
They're characters that clearly they think, they have thoughts, they make mistakes.
Yeah.
And it's all really well done here, both to the credit of the writing and the cast.
Yeah, and I don't know. I didn't expect the scene to take that direction, and so I was very impressed.
Yeah,
I was like, I still don't like the dad, but that was a very interesting conversation and did not go where I thought it would. So good job. And then we get, what's the first flashback? It's Ellie's 16th birthday.
Yeah.
So he takes her through the woods, and...
No, the first one is...
Or am I skipping something?
You are. The first one was not as long.
The guitar!
In the house. He asks Seth to make her birthday cake first.
Okay.
And then he
with the
asks
Legos,
for the piece
with
of
the
bone,
Legos.
and he like carves it down and puts it into the guitar. He makes it. He puts the little moth design that Ellie drew onto it, and talks about how he's gonna teach her to play.
Baby, I'm a killer.
And
he's so great.
Ellie asks him to play a song, and he plays. I don't even know what song it is, but it's
I don't know.
a song essentially
it was a good
saying
pick,
that like I'm like nothing if I don't have you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna lose myself the day I lose you.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a tearjerker.
Yeah.
With the idea that he absolutely felt the same way towards his I don't want to say original, but his first daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And then to know that
And he was always a protector to Tommy. Like, that's his biggest things, is he's a protector. And then he lost his daughter. Those are pivotal parts of who he is.
And
So-
you know, God knows, we know he wasn't going to give up Ellie.
Yeah.
Season 1. So we see that he's just totally in that mindset of, I'm nothing if I don't have the people I care for protected.
Yeah.
And then it adds a whole nother layer of sadness, knowing what happens in the future. I guess at that point it's like 3 years or so later. I don't know. But it's...
Yeah, because she's 19 when it happens.
Yeah, so it's...
Yeah.
So it just feels very...
Singing it, knowing he already killed the fireflies and then will be killed 3 years
the dominoes
later.
were already knocked over. It
Yeah.
feels very...
Ominous.
I don't know if ominous is the right word. It feels bittersweet.
I'm trying to use big words, okay?
You're doing great.
I'm trying to do.
You're
I'm
doing
trying to
great
do that.
effort. Use them back.
Thank you. Aww.
But and then I also really loved the scene where he's going for the knife to cut the cake, and then he turns around and Ellie has like the
The thing
handful
in her
in her
hand.
mouth already.
That's so young, Ellie, and I love that.
And then I
So,
love that he just like smiles and is like, "Yep, that's what's happening now." It's
Yeah.
a very
like,
sweet moment
okay.
among a lot of really sweet moments and
Yeah.
some really not sweet moments.
Yeah.
Then
And
the
then-
next one is whenever they're on the outside of the wall.
Yes.
And Joel is bringing her to a giant dinosaur statue.
It's a
And she is hyped and she
dinosaur.
climbs up on top of it.
He's so freaked out by that. Oh my god. And he has the conversation where he's like, "So I've seen you and Jesse, huh? Like I have a good eye for these things." I'm like, every straight parent ever, I have a good eye for these things.
Right.
Honestly, every parent
He
ever.
thought he ate with that.
Right? And Ellie's like, "Sure you do, dude. Just wait like a year.
And then
You'll find out."
Is anyone giving you the birds and the bees? And she was like,
And he like literally stumbled, and I love that. I love that
And a
choice.
piece of him
from
died
Pedro
on the
Pascal.
inside.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh my god, girlfriend, what did you say? What did you say?
"Where's my lorazepam?
You gotta wash your mouth out with soap."
What if the dinosaur hears you?"
Oh my gosh.
But then they
that
also
was
go
really funny.
to a museum. It looks like an air and space museum.
Yeah.
And that is a beautiful scene. They go
Oh.
through this like night hallway with a bunch of like glimmering stuff. Apparently that was done very cheaply, but it looks
Sure.
beautiful. They were saying literally like the stars were like bought from were just gems they bought from like a dollar store and glued on a velvet wall.
And exactly. Take notes, movie theaters. Or not movies, movie studios. Yeah. Just glue them to the ceiling and let's have us like watch. It's like a drive-in where we see the stars.
Right.
Exactly. Anyways,
Crazy.
I meant what I said. I didn't say anything wrong.
And then there's two scenes I really love. The first being she sees this like diorama of the solar system and it has the spinny thing. And he's like, "Well, it looks like someone greased it for you." I was like, "Ah, Joel, you rascal."
Joel, you're so funny.
But I really like the shot where Joel's standing off to the side and looking at her, and she's like standing right in the middle of the sun.
Yeah.
Because she's his whole
his
universe.
sun.
She's at the center of everything.
Yeah.
And it's and the fact that they like don't linger on it or like even mention it is like,
You just
man,
see
but
it.
it's
You
so
see it happen.
good. It's such a good shot.
Yep.
And then it goes into him leading her to an actual space pod. It's something that actually went into space and came back down. He said it was from Apollo 15.
Okay.
So she takes a rock, breaks out one of the spacesuits, and he actually they get in, and he plays a recording of the people who actually went up in that space pod. God knows how he found that.
Honestly, he has his ways because he found the Legos, and
Legos.
Seth was like, "How the heck did you do these or find these because I looked in the same place you did. And he's like, I'm just better.
Sorry, I'm slightly less homophobic than you. So.
Oh. He's like, well, what do you say? Like, I'm a smuggler and you're a...
I was a...
And he looked him up and down. Oh, damn.
Clocked
Damn, he
I
clocked
was
him.
a ravager. Ravager?
I think he said smuggler.
Well, maybe. What do I know?
Something
But,
like that.
But I love the scene in the pod whenever the thing is playing and Ellie's closing her eyes and you see like her imagination comes to life and the thing shaking and as though she was really taking that trip is lovely.
I've heard
lovely.
that's like just from the game. I've heard they did that really well. So I'm glad. They were talking about it after the episode. They were like they really wanted to get that scene right, if nothing else.
Yeah.
So
then the next birthday, it's him coming in with
Oh,
the cake.
and the dinosaur scene was Pedro's last scene he ever filmed
As it should
for
be.
the show. Mm-hmm.
On the floor.
Oh, and we skipped a couple things, I think.
Did we?
Yeah.
There's
So
2 more birthdays.
So in the 16 section, she burns her arm. Didn't we skip that? I think on purpose to cover up the cut.
Right.
Also, I forgot that Tommy knew. I was like, why are we talking about her being...
Yes, because they stopped.
forgot about
here,
that.
And then they continued on to where the fireflies were.
Oh, right.
And they came back.
I was like, I kind of remember that conversation, but like in the moment, I did not, and I was like, why are we talking about this in front of him? Anyways, but I mean, if you're gonna tell anyone, like that's a good person to tell.
Got to Tommy.
Yeah. Tommy and Dina now.
I also think it's interesting that Tommy, after having the same father as Joel, has a kid.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like I'd be very interested to see more of that, considering we
Mm-hmm.
see, Joel's impact from his father's, the relationship with his father, and how that goes down to Ellie.
Mm-hmm.
It would be interesting to see if there's any parallel we could potentially see Tommy taking away from that.
Yeah.
Clearly he's very different from Joel, so what
Yeah.
he would even pass down would be something very different, but...
Well, I do think it's very interesting because, I mean, I feel like there's definitely an argument there for maybe Joel... I feel like he's done better than his father for sure because he doesn't beat Ellie. But he's still, like a violent... He goes into violence when he needs to. Not that he's inherently a violent person, but... I would wonder how Tommy would react in both of those scenarios, were it his kid or
his wife.
the other thing. Yeah. So, I don't know. I do wonder what the parallels would be. Would he do something similar? Because they are very different characters, but I'm like...
Because the whole point of...
I don't know.
Because, like, Joel at his core is, like, he's a protector.
Yeah,
And
at all costs.
it's very interesting that he makes almost the complete opposite decision of his father,
Mm-hmm.
where he's going to protect her no matter what, even when she doesn't want to be protected.
Yeah.
It's very fascinating. It's a very nuanced and very opinionated conversation on where does it go too far.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
It's
almost
so great.
geniusly done.
Yeah,
there.
I agree. I don't know. And then the other one, at what point do they talk about the moths?
The moths, I believe that is
Sometime around the time we're talking about.
I believe it's this one because it's when she gets the tattoo on her.
Yeah, and then he has the conversation with Gail because Ellie tells him, "Oh, like it's cause like represents change or whatever." Yeah, but then Gail says, "Well, actually, that's butterflies. Moths represent death," which there's a couple things to that because then it's like, oh, well, he drew the moth and then he died, so there could be a connection to him, or something I'll bring up later, but I'll kind of say right now. She constantly says, like, my purpose is to die. My purpose is to die. That was what I was supposed to do, blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, and other people are reading into this, too, in very similar ways. And they're like, okay, so she's definitely at least a little bit suicidal. Like, at least a little bit. And I think that adds something to the conversation there.
I think it's a thing, and I wish they... Like, I
wish
wish
they
they
explored
didn't
that
outright
better.
say it, but I feel like in season 1 we're missing, like, somewhere on the cutting room floor was a scene where she was like, where there was some conversation about if she had to give her life, would she? And
Yeah.
I'm not saying they needed to have a conversation, but I'm saying it's a question that needed to be brought up sooner.
Yeah, because it's hard, because it's like, and I said this in the second episode, it's very easy to say, like, I would give up my life when you're not actually being presented with the choice in the moment. Plus, even if she were given that choice, at the time of what the surgery would have been, she was 15. And especially if she's suicidal, I mean, that's like multiple layers of, is it even still consent at that point, even if she does say yes? Because she's so young?
I don't know.
like-
When you look at it, the apocalypse
God.
genre, it gives me the same vibes where, like, you can't look at it the same as, like, anything set, like, modern day. It's, like, completely different rules applied. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if it reminds me a lot of almost Andor in the way, like, you're fighting for this something that's so much bigger than yourself, and like when they have to like kill someone who like just gives them like the whole thing that like the Death Star exists, and then
Yeah.
you know you can't get them out, so you also can't let them know that you know, so you have to so you shoot them so that
Yeah.
everyone else in the universe has a chance.
Yeah.
And so it feels very much in the same vein of that, where
That's a good point.
you know,
Good comparison.
regardless of how she would have felt, she definitely thinks she would have gone through with it.
Yeah.
And, you know, Joel was going to protect her no matter what, and that took away her agency
Yeah.
in the situation.
Someone brought up a good parallel where the Fireflies may have taken away her choice of saying yes, but Joel took away of saying no.
And he
and
took
Joel,
away her
the
ability
yes.
to say yes. That's a
Yeah.
great point.
Mm-hmm. It's like, that's true. At the end of the day, she didn't get to choose because of him and the Fireflies.
Yeah.
So,
And it's
it is very interesting.
it's all so fascinating. And I almost wish they put a line similar to that in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Oh, that is so true. That would have been a good line. Something like, but you took away my ability to say yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, and I don't want to get to the port scene too soon, though.
Sure. What else is happening in the birthday? We have the
catches
scene
her.
where he catches her with the girl. I think we talked.
And weed.
And weed.
And she gets a new tattoo. Triple whammy right there. You're like, oh, you thought you knew your daughter? Wham, wham, wham. Like, you don't actually know her at all.
drugs,
Actually.
cigarettes, tattoo.
All at once. You get to deal with this all at once.
And now she
right
wants to move
now.
to the garage.
Yeah. And now she wants to move out too. Oh, and you're like, no, this is my house. And she's like, actually, you don't own anything. That
Actually,
gag
the
was
capitalist
great.
society fell.
She said, actually, you don't own anything. You don't own this house. So, yeah. She kind of ate with that one.
She's so ate with that
Like,
one.
gagged him a little bit. Like, good job.
Where's
good
your
for you.
mortgage?
Oh,
Where's the deed?
where are your house payments? Yeah, exactly.
You think you would have been approved
Where's
for
the
a home loan
where's
in
the
this
rent?
economy?
Where's the rent here? Exactly. She's so A with that one. I'm like, have to give it to him, okay?
Yeah.
Anyways, let's
Crazy.
discuss. How do we excuse me. How do we feel about his reaction there? Which was a lot of things.
I mean, we talked on it a little bit earlier, but I think it's very real. And the whole
Oh, I
point-
also like. Sorry, no,
No,
go
go
ahead.
for it.
No, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
I
It's
was gonna
okay.
say that, and honestly, I probably have already said this into the ground
It's okay.
already, but you know, it's very real. The whole point is he's being forced to realize that he's losing touch with her, and
Yeah.
you know,
She's
he's
a
not he's not
teenager.
happy about that, but he's not dealing with it in a constructive way. We clearly saw that he was never
Yeah.
shown how to deal with that in a constructive way.
Mhm.
Clearly,
Yeah.
and
Like, how do
even
I
with his,
deal with this without beating my child?
even with his first daughter, he never got to the point to have to like
Yeah.
start looking at that. So it's all
Mhm.
very new to him, and obviously there's so much tragedy and sacrifice involved with it, anyways. So
Yeah.
it's all, but the whole thing is that even though he makes a mistake here, like it's undeniable that he loves her so much,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
and you know that's why it's. Is he ally of the year? No.
No.
No, and nowhere close. But
Someone did bring up, well, the apocalypse, he's from Texas. Didn't remember that. He's also really old, and the world basically stopped in 2003.
yeah,
So, honestly, he didn't do half bad, okay? You know, he may have had a bad reaction in the beginning, but then he kind of like halfway slept on it, and then was like, you know what? Let's talk about this. So who's your girlfriend? I loved what he said. So
It's like,
do you know your girlfriend
is Jessie
now?
your girlfriend?
So I found this other Jessie, but she's a girl. So like
So Jessie has a friend.
Jesse's girl Jessie.
Yeah.
anyways, right.
I don't even. What was the question?
Then he was like, "Oh right, I do have to be an ally." Ally.
He's like, right.
He's like,
I am
"My bad."
I am played by Pedro Pascal.
He said, "I may be an old man from Texas, but I'm also Pedro Pascal, and I have to lock in." Okay. Like, I'm sorry. I was slacking a little bit. Let me reel it back in. Anyways, I also really liked his gag of like 17, by the way, and the girl was like, "Well, I'm 19." So.
Oh, I loved her constantly being like, "Oh yeah, I'm leaving right now."
Oh yeah,
the
but
tattoo's not
actually,
done and it's gonna look a lot better.
Okay,
Oh,
I'll
right, you
right. Let me just like let myself up. She kind of ate.
Just like jumps out the window.
She kind of ate with that. I was like, yeah.
I'm
Anyways.
not gonna let a man talk to me. Right.
Right. This is your house, or maybe it's not, but I'm gonna go anyways.
This might not be your house, but I'm not gonna bring that up.
No, it's not my house either. So I guess I'll go. That was so funny.
Do we
That
go
little scene.
on to the last birthday?
Do we want to talk? Yeah, because then that leads into Eugene and then the
Yes.
porch scene. So,
So
yeah.
I really liked waking up on the most recent birthday,
Yeah.
and she was practicing a list of questions that she wanted to ask Joel about
Yep.
the day that he killed the Fireflies, or that they escaped the raiders that killed the Fireflies.
Yeah. And I like that this gives a sense that she's been thinking about it for a while.
Yes, and
Mhm.
and I think it's no coincidence also that it's on her 18th birthday.
Yeah.
I think it's very
Oh,
interesting. It's almost like
true.
so I'm an adult now.
You have
you
to
know,
tell me the truth.
You have to view me as being
Ugh.
on a closer level to you right now, and I need you. It's like almost a respect thing.
Yep.
Like we'll explain these when you're an adult kind of thing. It's
Yep.
like you have no
Well, I'm
excuse
an adult
to lie
now.
to me now,
Mm-hmm.
or else this is like truly a betrayal.
Very true.
And I love the way she phrased the questions, and it wasn't. And she was going to dance around it for a lot of it, and was like,
Yeah.
I don't understand how they spotted us like 5 miles out, but then a whole group of raiders that killed them all wasn't even seen.
Yeah.
And
Or how they all got killed, but
how did
you
we
were
get out while you were
distracted.
carrying me?
Yeah.
And it's all, and I love the way she gives those lines. And the
'Cause she's
way
not angry
hesitating
either.
into it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. It's very the anxiousness and like knowing what the answer is, but wanting to like give a chance for it to be there to be an actual reason for it.
Yeah.
And then Joel knocks on the door and it's like, "Hey, it's your birthday."
She's like, "Oh shit, let me put this up." I'm sorry, Roxy. I scared you a little
And
bit.
he's
I'm
like,
sorry.
"For your birthday, you've been patient, like I've been asking, so I'm gonna take you out on your first patrol."
Yeah.
And
Of
what a
course, the
patrol that
classic. There's nothing gonna happen. This is the easiest route, and then something horrible happens.
Yep.
That's such a classic.
Yeah, so they run into Eugene's partner who gets drugged, who's dead and drugged by a horse.
Oof.
But they got the horse.
That's
back.
rough, buddy. Oh, oh. Wait, call an ambulance, but not for me. That's what I was thinking of. Okay.
And then
Anyways.
Eugene is there. They find him, and he's bitten.
Like, did you get bit?
But the whole
He
thing
didn't even
is,
try to lie. He was like, yeah.
homie, you know I got bit. I got
You
this
know I
thing
got
on
bit
me."
right here. Right here. Anyways.
And he's saying, "Hey guys, can I go see my wife now? That'd be
Yeah.
great. I need some therapy."
Yeah, I know, like, we don't do that, but, like,
Listen,
can you,
but,
like, do me a
can we
favor,
be, like,
though?
besties right now?
I
I'll
know
tell you
I'm,
where
like,
my weed
I'm-
stash is.
Yeah,
That
I
would
know
be-
I'm, like, kind
that
of
would've been-
shaking, though. Don't worry about it. No tendrils are going to come out of me. We were making a joke last night when me and the other gang were watching this, where I was like, imagine he was riding, because, like, let's just say for a second, because Ellie's immune, that he rode with her on her horse. It's like, what if you just, like, start to feel the tendrils? Because he's starting to...
Ugh,
Right?
that's a horrible visual.
Yeah. Anyways, you're welcome.
But
Anyways.
he's trying to convince them to bring him back to see Gale so that he can say goodbye. So valid. Such a valid question. But
I
Joel,
liked the put out your hand and count to 10, and he like slightly hesitates before 6, and I'm like, goner. He would have got shot in the head right then. If I was there, he would have got shot First of all, he wouldn't have even had to count to 1. So, they were nicer than me. Both of them were nicer than me. Honestly, I ain't messing around. The Walking Dead, sure, we'll maybe take a chance. These zombies ain't no way.
Hand out. Count to 10. Huh? And it's my name.
Oh, dang. No, literally the second was like 5, 6. That right there. Right there. Anyways.
What the heck come after 3?
It's like, oh, say your ABCs backwards. I would be screwed. No, I would be screwed. No. Good for you that you can do that. I can't do that. Mm-mm.
That's honestly as far as I can go without thinking.
Right? Like, I'd be a goner. Anyway, especially under pressure, ain't no way. I might struggle to count to 10 under the pressure. You just never know.
Yeah, so, and he eventually promises Ellie and Eugene that he'll tie him up so that he can attack and take him to the gate so he can see his wife before he dies. And then Ellie goes to go get rope, I guess. And they tell him yes, but then she starts to leave and she kind of knows that Joel's not gonna. And then Joel takes him to the lake.
He says, "I promise."
And he is like, "Hey man, if you really love this woman, you can see her face in your head."
Here's the sunset.
And it is a beautiful little mountain view.
It is
on the lake.
He tries. He's like.
And then I also thought it was really powerful that they did a wide shot. And you see the birds
the
fly
muffled
away
sound.
And I didn't even hear a sound.
It was like it was very, very like brief.
But I don't know. It was very powerful. I think more powerful than just hearing the gunshot.
Yeah, I agree.
And then Ellie comes in and they carry his body back to town. And then Gail comes out. And sad Catherine O'Hara.
Here's the nuance scene right here.
And
a controversial scene, rather.
Joel's back on his bullshit and starts lying.
Okay.
It's like, hey, he handled this really well. He knew that he couldn't come back to see you.
I didn't do anything. Don't even worry about me.
He also told me to say that, like, if you were looking for a booty call later, that, like, Joel is like a really good pick. Catherine O'Hara. Gail. He said to give Joel some free therapy.
Oh. Dang.
And also, he's really cool.
Yeah.
And he knows how to make guitars. So, he's a provider and a protector.
Anyways.
Maybe not
and he's
for me,
also really handsome. Yeah.
And he looks a lot like this guy you might have heard of, Pedro Pascal.
We're on something this episode, I swear.
Ellie comes out and is like, you a liar.
That is not real.
That is not true. You lied to her.
We need to stop laughing about serious things, okay?
Right.
Anyways,
right. And then another element I like them talking about in the end, like behind the scenes thing, is that she tells the truth that, he wanted to come to see who he begged, and he shot him in the head anyways. And, Gail was originally hugging Joel, and then she slaps him.
Slaps him and shoves him away. Yeah.
And then I love Ellie's line of "you swore," because at that point she's not talking about the promise that he made to. She's
talking about everything. The hospital.
Well, because in the scene with Eugene, it was a promise. After the Fireflies it was a swear.
Oh.
So she was talking about that scene.
That's a good callback.
And he had the exact same look on his face.
Yeah.
Whenever he was lying to Gail about it. So,
yeah.
And then we see Gail. Was it Gail that Joel had the scene with in the church, or it was the wife, Tommy's wife.
Yeah, and New Year's. Well, I wanted to say with Eugene, this whole scene with Eugene, and then afterwards when he's talking to Gail, is so compelling because I don't think there's one correct, like, interpretation of the scene, even moral wise. Mm-hmm. I think it's a very messy situation. I think there are many interpretations. Like, my personal opinion, never would have risked Eugene. But I also wouldn't have promise that. I'd be like, sorry.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Well, if I may jump in,
Yeah.
a question I had written down was...
Personally.
What did
I
I-
ain't about to get no tendrils.
Is-
Sorry.
Was
You could shoot me.
Was Joel
like, it's
wrong
fine.
to lie?
Because
Because inherently, I don't think there's anything wrong in the Eugene situation with what he did, and I think he
Yeah.
did it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
But would it have been ethical for him to lie to Gail about it?
And that's the hard part, because I mean, lying is bad. However, because this is so complicated, I feel like because of what we know about Joel, to me it didn't come off as saving his own skin. It came off as, I want to spare you from the grief of what really happened, because I think you would be crushed by knowing he begged and was still had to be shot. So I'm gonna tell you this. I mean, there was a couple things, like, he didn't have to say, like, he said something about himself and his actions, like he shot himself. I think that was one of them. I was like, you don't even need to mention that. Like, you don't need to lie about that. I think you could have just said, you know, he wanted me to tell you that he loved you, and the last thing he saw, or last thing he thought about was your face. Like, something just like that, comforting, pretty much the truth. Didn't need to really elaborate from there. But he was lying still. And I don't know. It's messy, because then Ellie goes on, and yes, like, she's telling the truth, but in my opinion, it came off to me very heavily that she was doing it not thinking about Gail and her feelings at all. She was, like, just thinking about Joel and mad that she was lying and wanted to, like, be like, that's not true. This is what happened.
Well,
And it almost it's too close to me coming off as almost, like, cruel, because it's like, you're not having any regard for how Gail's going to react to this, especially now that you've let him lie and you're going to come back with that and be like, actually, that's not true. I don't know. It's like, you're not wrong for telling the truth. Maybe you're wrong in your delivery and your intentions in your delivery, but also, I think it's totally valid to interpret the scene that she was telling the truth with Gail's feelings in mind. Like, I can see that.
I think the whole point is, like, she's seeing Joel do the exact same thing that he did to her 5
Yeah.
years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and we see at the beginning of that day, she never got over that, and she
Mm-hmm.
you know, constantly thought about it and was picking it apart to, like,
Yeah.
the hours beforehand, and
Mhm.
you know, I think there is
Sure.
an element of, like, if anything happened to the person you love, like,
Mhm.
you want to know.
Yeah.
And, like, it won't be easy, but it's not going to be easy anyways.
Yeah.
And you'll always
That's so true.
be like,
Very
because
true.
how easy would it have been to realize, oh, he shot himself with a huge rifle point blank in the head?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah. She would have been thinking about it forever. So.
and then it would be, so I think it's Ellie doing what she would have wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Whenever it was Joel was lying to her.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously there's a lot of emotion tied into that.
Yeah. And that's also hard because, you know, she's not Gail and Gail's not her. So, like, would Gail have chosen the same thing? But we don't know that. None of the characters know that. We don't know that. So it's like she was doing what she thought was right. I think that's also a totally valid interpretation. There's lots of conversation around that where people are on both sides. And I think that's what's fun about this episode, is you get a lot of conversations like
and another
that.
thing about Joel is, like, and I truly just think in both situations, if you're gonna do something like that, like something bold like that betrays the trust,
Yeah.
lying about it is only gonna make it worse.
Yeah.
It feels like he's also like, he's the protector, and
Yeah.
in that vein, he's trying to protect them from
The bad
the things
memories.
that he kind of took control over in
Yeah.
their lives,
Mhm.
and that's not fair.
Mhm.
And you're taking away agency.
Yeah.
And even in, like, the vein of Eugene, like, homie, blame the rules.
Mhm.
Like, he knew it was not safe.
Yeah.
There's a whole council that could have had punishment if something had happened because of that.
Mhm.
Say that he wanted
Absolutely.
to see you, but the rules didn't let me bring him back. I would have expected the same thing in my
Yeah.
if it was
What if he
me.
did bring you back and then they didn't let you go out? Like, that would have been just so dramatic or traumatic for everybody.
Yeah, so, just, like, and you can leave it vague,
So
but
messy.
the idea, like, the whole like lying and building this whole fake narrative is where
Yeah.
you lose me, Joel. But
Yeah.
it's very in character why he's doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what's great about it is like even if you don't agree with it, it makes total sense for his character. Although I do think this situation with Eugene, I think he was in the right for what he did in the moment, maybe,
for
but
sure.
not lying about it later. Versus, I think he was wrong about lying to Ellie, but then even for what he did, maybe he wasn't even right for that. So that's even a more nuanced situation, in my opinion, than what happened with Eugene.
Sure.
But the lying about it is, I think,
Wrong
wrong.
in both parts.
Yes, yeah. So, even if he had good intentions, yeah, that's a really good way to phrase it. Is he's taking away agency? So, yeah. Crazy.
I think that
Let's see.
covered at least the most of everything.
Oh, and then there's the big scene at the end. I'm trying to think if there's anything we didn't majorly
The
hit
porch
on.
scene.
I do want to say it is really... It's very emotional seeing how he can't verbalize the answer to her questions.
Yeah.
About, like, were there other people like me? And he's just shaking his head. Were they going to be able to make a cure? Nods his head. Did you kill them?
Oh my god, that like whole like
And
when
he's-
she asked, could they have made a cure? That's like the clip you need to play right there for the Emmy. That's what you need to play. It was so good.
And then, you know, obviously she's upset about that. And,
Yeah.
you know, obviously you've seen that throughout this whole show, or at least this season, that she, whether she said it or not, a part of her knew that that was on the table of her potentially having to give her life
Yeah.
for the idea of making a cure. And she certainly seems to think that she would have said yes. Like we talked about, would you have? We'll never know.
Yeah.
Because
And you were a
Joel took that
child,
right
and
away.
so that makes it messy too. So it's like you have agency, but
But
do you
in
have
any
enough
case-
agency to like accept someone killing you? Like that's I don't know. That's a lot. That's a lot to think about.
It's
and
a
I
lot,
don't
but it would have been, I don't know. It's a lot on anyone, and it's another thing
Yeah.
that's like, you know, if a kid saw Andor, heard Andor getting the Death Star
Ugh.
plans, what would have happened there?
Yeah.
And it's, you know, you have a whole
Ooh.
universe of children versus,
Messy.
and it's just crazy.
Yeah. I
but-
also wanted to mention, I know a lot of people are discussing him saying could they have made a cure. I don't know. To me, it's like because I know some people are like, well, actually, in the real world, you can't make a cure to a fungal infection. It's like, well, one, as we know of right now. Two,
she is immune.
is it even? Well, yeah. Is it even possible to have a fungal infection like that in the real world? I don't know.
Not
I'm not a
yet.
scientist. Hopefully not.
The science
Anyways,
you're-
you won't be seeing
The
me if that
science
ever
you're
happens.
referencing has no reference to that. So
Yeah.
not
And then
qualifying.
3, it's a fantasy world. So those rules don't necessarily apply there. And then 4, she's immune and you can't deny that. And so they were saying like there is no cure, but you also can't deny that Ellie's immune. But also, I don't think any of that matters, quite frankly. I think the important thing is that Joel, regardless of whether he's scientifically correct or not, because he's not a scientist, he doesn't really know, is he believed that they could have made the cure, and he did it anyways.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only thing that matters. So who cares if they actually could have made it? He believed they could. And he still made that decision. So, yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. And then
Just
I loved
some-
him passing on his dad's words of,
Yeah.
you know, hopefully when you're in my shoes, you'll do a little bit better than me. And
I can't really comment on that until the end of the game. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Anyways.
But I think that is interesting with the,
I like
with the
that
kid on the
line.
way for Ellie now.
Yeah. I like that line in theory for what I am hoping they do. So, we'll see.
So yeah, that's a lot of the big stuff.
Oh, and then also on the really lovely note of this last conversation we know that she has with Joel is that the last thing she says to him is, I don't think I can forgive you, but I want to try. Which
Yeah.
is, ugh.
Straight from the game.
And then,
Perfect.
And then I think that adds a lot into that scene.
And then the next day he dies, which is, ugh.
And then I think that
I
ties
hate
a
it.
lot into Nora, and like seeing the Nora, like a clip of the Nora scene right after they're talking about this scene is like, it feels like there's this added element of they took away her ability to like rebuild their relationship right after it had started.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's
feels so heavy.
crazy. Yeah. But anyway.
But yeah, I think that's essentially everything we have to talk about The Last of Us. How are we doing on time?
We're at an hour and 5 minutes, but I feel like
we can catch
let's just
up
do
on
it.
So
Let's just do it.
okay, switching over to You Season 5.
Yeah.
So,
Well, let us know what you thought about this episode. What do you think the finale is going to be? And a season 3, maybe 4. What the heck do you think they're going to do with that?
what the heck is going on around here?
God, I'm so serious. I really hope they don't do a season 4.
I completely agree.
Oh, anyways, I think that's... Anyways, let's
But
move on. You
going
season
into
5.
You.
You.
So, for those who
Wait,
don't...
do it. You. Like Joe always says, you. Yeah. He's like, oh, you. Anyways, he has such a cool voice, and I love that for him.
Boy energy, but he's psychotic.
Yeah. And they basically say that. They're like, yeah, he kills a bunch of people, but he's such a romantic. That's what they say in the season.
Trailer, it's like, I don't care if she killed 4 people.
She's that bitch. Come on. Oh, I love that.
So, for those who don't know, You is about this character, Joe Goldberg, constantly obsessing over different women, getting really close in their lives, becoming their boyfriend, and then
or husband,
and killing the people,
baby daddy,
that are, getting in the way of their relationship, or maybe even them, and sometimes them. So
if he feels like they're getting in the way of their relationship,
so it's all crazy, very interesting. So
it's based off, I think, 2 or 3 books.
Yes, I believe the first 2 seasons are in book.
Yeah, maybe the 3rd.
Books.
They might have. I was thinking I saw something where they're doing season 2 and 3 were based off the 2nd book. I don't know. I saw someone say
Interesting.
But it might just be 2 books. I personally have never read them.
Mm.
I know my friend Claire has. I should ask them. She's read the first one.
Okay.
Anyways.
But so whenever I started watching this show, I binged seasons 1 through 4.
Mm-hmm.
I would say.
Ooh, that would be an interesting
2 or 3 months after season 4 completely dropped.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've been watching this since it's been released.
Mm-hmm.
Season 1.
So
it's been a journey.
For my experience, it was very interesting to
that?
binge.
Okay.
Especially seasons 1, 2, and 3. They build into each other really well. Mm-hmm. And I think the characters continue to get better throughout the growth there. Mm-hmm. And the episodes get a lot more interesting. The premises keep doubling up and getting crazy. I think I think the show peaks at season 3.
Yep.
And
I totally agree with that.
Then
we should rank the seasons. That would be fun. Okay.
And then season 4 happens. Mm-hmm. And apparently season 4 is very divisive.
Yes.
The first half of season 4, where it's a murderer trying to find a serial killer.
Yeah.
Love that premise.
Yeah.
So much. And the idea that instead of the obsession being the woman that he clearly is interested in, it's this person who's aware that he's a killer and trying to kill all of the people around him.
Yeah.
And I love that premise. Mm-hmm. And then
it's a nice way to take a completely different direction, especially when you have no more book material. And you're at the 4th season, so that's kind of the point where you're okay, we can't keep doing the same thing every season. I agree with that.
And then they reveal some things, and I like the reveals, but then it feels like they're trying to go to a conclusive point, and then they're oh, but we'll do another season anyways, and it's I hate the way that ends a lot.
Yeah.
And now they're season 5, where it's cool. So already in my head, you had the perfect place to stop this show. Mm-hmm. And now here's another 10 episodes. And is there enough content to make it worth it? Is the
Yeah.
conclusion better than it would have been in season 4?
Mhm.
Is, like, you know, should this season exist?
Mhm.
Is
I
a
agree.
big question.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's... I was very hesitant to go into season 5. Obviously, I was going to at some point, but I was very hesitant to go into it thinking I was going to like it.
Man, I only went into it and watched it because you watched it. And even then, I watched like the first 3 episodes and then stopped for like 2 or 3 weeks, I think, and then I finally binged it and finished it
Mm-hmm.
a few days ago.
Yeah.
It was a struggle.
There's
I mean,
definitely
I'm glad
some...
I finished it, but
Yeah, there's definitely some great elements here.
yeah.
And some of the things that were always good continue to be really good.
Mhm.
But overall, it just does not add enough to warrant season 4 not having been the end.
Yeah. Honestly, I would have been okay if season 3 was the end. To be honest, I don't know. It's hard because it wouldn't have been a good ending for the entire series.
Mm-hmm.
But that is where it peaked for me, and so it's like, I don't know. I wouldn't have minded if season 4 was the end.
Well, my
But
thing
it-
is, at least with season 4, there was a very clear point for it to end.
Yeah.
And then they were like,
Mhm.
nah.
Nah,
And
let's
it's
like finish that later.
And then it ends here. And I will say, I think the overall ending is good.
I agree. I was
I
satisfied.
think there's an
with the
element of
ending.
it that I don't like that the
Okay.
ending in the season 4
I think
did better.
From reading your notes, I have a theory of what you're gonna say.
So,
We'll see.
So overall, that's how I'm feeling about this. And there's
Yeah.
I would say, one role which is amazing that they added here.
Yes.
Some of the characters got more screen time, and I liked them better.
Mhm.
And then there's like 2 characters I would say they added here that were also just like generally fun ensemble characters.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about it.
Yeah,
Let's talk about it.
absolutely. So
Do you want to start with your notes since you actually like have some?
Sure.
I didn't really add much.
So, my pros, we see a lot more of Kate in this season. She was the love interest, very much on the back burner in 4.
Yes.
So, and I guess we're in the non-spoiler talk for season 5. So, I guess we didn't have to jump around it as much. But in season 4, the whole plot twist was that Joe was blacking out, and he was the serial killer that he was obsessed with finding. So, how do you, reach the climax of your story with this multiple season character who constantly gets obsessed with people?
Yeah.
Have him literally be obsessed with himself, and literally have him unknowingly trying to break down how messed up he is, and like how horrible and deranged he is by making him literally his own antagonist.
Yep.
And forced to face what a monster he is. And then, he realizes that, he tries to deal with it, and he ends up trying to jump off a bridge. And, whatever note you want to say on if that's on the statement that's giving, personally, I'm all for it. But whatever.
It's kind of different when it's like a psychopath, you
Yeah.
know, versus like a Woman in the Yard kind of thing where it's like a mother who's grieving. It's a little different, you know.
Like the idea that
Yeah.
the things that you've done are unforgivable, and how can you move on? And then it's like, well, apparently pretty easy if you have a whole nother season.
Yeah.
Like, clearly, this was just not... This whole
It was just a
depression you were in
phase.
was a phase,
Yeah.
because you never get near that again.
Yeah.
So
Very
it's,
true.
I don't know. It's all crazy. But I will say seeing Kate much more center focused here was nice.
She
Don't
was
say
fun.
I loved her, but I enjoyed her a lot more.
Yeah.
She felt like an actual character.
Yeah. I didn't mind her. I mean, it was definitely not. It's hard to follow up Love. Like, Love was just
For
such
sure.
an iconic character.
Love is my favorite obsession.
Oh my
but
God.
Also,
Yeah.
she's so great.
Yeah.
She's such a great character.
There's a reason people were talking about how she should have taken over the show. I'm like, yeah, because everybody loves her and she's really great and definitely could have led her own show. But, oh well.
I don't know. But then I also really liked Marion.
Yes.
Marion in season 3 going into season 4.
Yes, she was very compelling, and I just love the actress.
Oh,
She's
for sure.
great.
Tati Gabriel.
'Cause
Not us
she's-
talking about both of her shows this episode.
Nora, she's having a great time, and I love. Well,
Well,
she's actually not.
She's actually not vibing
the
in either
characters,
show.
but the actress is thriving because she's getting that paycheck.
constantly
So
employed, allergic
yeah.
to being unemployed.
exactly, good for her.
So I super loved Kate. I really loved the element of them being married and raising Henry together.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, as someone who also comes from a blended family, I loved
Mm-hmm.
how, like, whatever it was about her just being the second mom,
Yeah,
I thought that
it
was
was
really
very
sweet
natural.
how much she, like, just inherently cares.
Mm-hmm.
They don't play up any kind of, like, stepmom, like, trying to, like, learn parenting and, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's all just, like, expected. Like, yep,
Mm-hmm.
she's the new mom. You can see her wanting to be the new mom and wanting
Yeah.
to protect the kid over anything else, including Joe.
Yep,
Which,
we
I
get
love
to that later for sure.
So that's really sweet, I think. There
Yeah.
are
Anna Camp plays twin characters in this season.
I
And if there was any reason for this season to exist, it is those dual
It's her.
performances.
No, for real. Because you told me, like, she has this moment where I don't know if you mentioned Emmys or you just kind of said, like, it was a really good moment for her, a really good scene for her. I had not quite gotten there yet in my first initial try in watching. And I'm so glad I stuck with it because you're right. I knew exactly what scene you're talking about. I'm like, yep, that's what it is right there. Good for her. But even the rest of the show, she does a really good
She
job.
continues to be a really high point of this show
Yeah.
every time she's on screen.
I
And
love
it's-
when twins are
oh.
done well. I'm like, I
It's
eat
so
it up.
crazy. And then, like, thinking about how they did those scenes, like they did in Sinners,
Mm-hmm.
like where they're in the same thing,
Yeah.
the same scene doing stuff. Oh, and then just the way that those two characters keep building, it's all fascinating and very, very well done.
Yeah. I agree.
And then, like I said, it ends on a good note for pretty much all of the characters. I
The
would
ones
say
that are
there's
left
one
alive.
caveat. So,
Yeah.
but we'll get into the specifics
okay.
later. I don't love. Okay, I don't love where. I would say, I don't want to get too vague into it, but
Okay.
where Joe is left, I think
Oh.
there's a note I would add
Okay.
to make it better.
Yeah. I can see
So,
that.
My cons.
This is an incredibly repetitive season because it
Yeah.
basically takes almost every element except for the twin element from all of the other seasons.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It
It's
has-
like, oh, we tried something in season 4. It was kind of, mixed reviews, so we're just going to throw that away.
Yeah, so they bring back
good.
the box constantly.
Yeah.
They bring back, the cheating element of Joe.
Mm-hmm.
They bring, like, he's becoming more popular,
Mm-hmm.
and they amp that up a lot more.
Yeah.
And it's all so, like,
It's something.
it's there, and he's doing it, but
Mm-hmm.
I've already seen this before.
Yeah.
And it's not nearly as inventive as this twin thing
Mm-hmm.
to warrant us continuing this show.
Yeah.
It's
No, I agree.
crazy. Then. Oh
And then
yeah.
You really dislike Bronte.
Yes,
Bronte is a character introduced here.
Oh, sorry, I skipped one.
You did.
I
I'll
skipped
circle
a
back
point,
to that
I'm
one.
sorry.
But Bronte, great point. Man, she
I will say,
is, and I.
there's a twist with her, and I actually kind of
here's
liked
the
her
thing,
after the twist.
I loved the twist.
Oh, okay.
But then, I thought they were going to, like, keep with the reveal.
Mm-hmm.
But then, the way she immediately acted after the reveal, I was like,
Oh.
I was like, there's like a whole
Yeah.
episode of like a twist with her character,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, oh, this is all really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
This is fascinating. I was kind of wondering if this was something that was going to happen,
Yeah.
and then she does something that almost like completely betrays that entire twist, and it was just like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
And I mean,
And
she
then I
gets
was
back
like,
to it
and now you
later,
feel
but
worse.
like,
You feel
yeah.
so much worse off as a character than if I
Yeah.
didn't know this, and I didn't think that was possible.
Yeah, that's very true. I liked what was I don't know how to say it. Overall, I feel like I still liked her after that twist, but from a writing perspective, I don't like how she kind of totally regresses on that, and then kind of slowly makes her way back when it's not beneficial to her anymore, when it doesn't make her feel good anymore. And I'm like, that sucks. You were close to being actually really cool, and you were close to making me forgive your entire first half of the season.
I was ready to be like, okay, she was in character, and she's a bad actor.
Yeah. You're like, hey, I'll take it.
But no, I don't know. Ultimately,
yeah.
And then there's
And
like
I felt
choices
like-
she makes toward the end where I'm just like, like she kept doing things that made me face palm. It's
Oh,
like,
okay.
Ugh, no.
I don't know. It felt like I felt like they knew about the twist and they knew the ending they wanted to do for the series, but they didn't know how to get there. And so it's like, let's just like make her be the connection there, and it was bad.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe that's what was going on there. I don't know. It was weird.
I have no idea. I will say, you see him relearn a bunch of the stuff. Like, there's a whole element of this season where he gets his life back as Joe Goldberg because he's changed names throughout the other seasons.
Yep.
So, and through Kate's money, they cleared his name, and he's able to live back in New York, take his job back, and own the place he worked at as the bookstore.
Yep.
And so, you see him throughout this season once again be forced to look at what a horrible monster he is.
Yeah.
But this time, unlike season 4, he just doesn't care. It's just like, man, that is what season 4 was about, wasn't it?
Man,
Well,
I am a monster. Anyways.
anyways, what was I talking about?
Oh yeah, so I have this person in my box. Right. Yeah.
Who's in the box? But,
It's like a Jack in the Box.
So-
Who's gonna be in the box now?
and then
Oh
I
my
will say,
God.
Kate.
Sorry, this is like kind of off track.
No, go
It's
for
still about you though. What if they made a toy where it was like mini Jack in the Boxes and they like the different people who's put in his box? And it's
it.
like
Dang. It's brutal out here.
and it's like a mystery thing, so you don't know who you're gonna get. Would you buy that?
Would you buy
You. Buy that? You.
that?
Anyways.
I will say,
Sorry.
it continue. I will say, Kate is a little annoying in the first half.
Yeah.
But solely in the way that season 4 forced her to continue the show going forward.
Yes.
Because it's like, oh, maybe I should know stuff about this person that I'm like helping clear their name. Maybe I should know more about this stuff that I'm like sweeping under the rug.
Yep.
It's like, you literally
Yeah.
are shown to be a CEO of a major company who constantly
Yeah.
has to not trust people close to her. And this is what you let slide?
Yeah.
The person who you know has killed people? And
Yeah.
you're like, maybe I should know more about that before
Maybe I should draw a line before I like get fired and thrown in jail.
It's it's out of character for her.
Yeah.
And even considering how horrible I think their relationship is in season 4, there's no reason for her to be where she is at the start of this season. And
Yeah.
it feels like this season remembers, oh right, she's a female character with her own agency.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's supposed to exist as a character outside of this relationship.
Yep.
And they're like, right,
Crazy.
right. How did we forget women are characters? and not
What?
just
Women
plot
are people
lines?
with their own minds. Yep.
It's crazy.
Yep.
Also, Joe just stops hallucinating like he does in season 4.
Yep.
For no reason. They could have even been like, maybe put him in the hospital for a little bit to clear him out.
I'm
of
on
that. Nope.
meds.
Yeah.
I'm on meds.
That would have
Mhm.
been maybe an interesting element of that.
Very easy
and him,
element,
like, choosing
too.
to be bad by like not taking his pills or something
Yeah,
like that.
exactly.
That could have been something interesting.
Like struggling to do what he needs to do because he's taking the pill, or like he blames it on the pills, and then throwing them away, and becoming full Joe.
Yeah.
Psycho Joe.
And then there's also just so many bad plans,
Mhm.
like across all characters. Like there's some that like
Yeah.
really work for me. Like there's a plan with the twins that I love.
Mhm.
But every other character who tries to plan something, it's like, man, you just like didn't want to
Y'all
do this
suck
that
at
badly,
plans.
did you?
Yeah. Yeah, I can kind of see that. a
Crazy
little
that
bit.
you like worked your whole life to this, and this is the effort you gave in at the last minute.
Mhm.
So that's also annoying.
Yeah.
and the ending of the last season would have been much more satisfying for me, at least in the respect of Joe, the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And then it literally ends on such a weird note. The last line literally had me like, what?
Okay, we'll get into it in the spoilers. Like, I'm forgetting what your note means here. I'm like, wait. I, like, don't remember.
Well, fortunately...
Oh, yeah. Because he, like, yeah. I kind of see what you mean. But I forgot this specific line, but I remember being like, okay, whatever you say, Joe.
Yeah, do you have any other...
Whatever helps you sleep at night.
Do you have any other non-spoilers to throw in before we get spoilery with it?
Oh, there was I wish I put specific, or I wish I put like details because I forgot what I mean by this. But I wrote down, I love the conversation between Joe and Kate. Perfectly shows how Joe justifies his actions. It's something, I want to say it's something where he says like, I would literally like kill for you and Henry, and she says something like, I don't know. She says something where I'm like, oh wow, that like really shows he's still in the wrong, but it shows like his justification in his mind. And I wish I remember what I meant by that, like the specifics.
Yeah,
anyways.
there's some great scenes. Like, and I will say, I didn't put him as my favorite just because I'm so tired of seeing this character. But
yeah,
you know, Penn Badgley's Joe Goldberg. He always kills what he's given.
Yeah.
So
it's very impressive the amount of voiceover he has to do, but also acting to fill in that space. Mm-hmm. Very cool balance.
And the fact that he's like, hi, plane.
Hello.
And I really like, there's probably also some talent in like, you know, him acting along with his voiceover, and the fact that like, those are two separate performances that he just has to line up constantly. If they like play it for him out loud, and everyone else just has to ignore it, that would be funny.
Hello, you. And he just like mugs towards the camera. You.
That's just how I feel when I'm around.
You. Oh my gosh. What I would give to see Penn Badgley film that for a day.
What I'd give to see Penn Badgley.
So true.
Frankly.
He got Ariana Grande to sing Shut Up, like, I think it was 2024, and I just love that for him. I'll always respect him for that. So that's a song she has, if you don't know. It's so good, and she doesn't acknowledge it. He's like, we're going to sing it together. And she does. And I'm like, I love you for that. Because did you know that he was in one of her videos, music videos?
I don't know. I was
I'll
surprised to
show you
see
that.
him in Easy A.
Yeah.
I binged it, and then I saw him in Easy A, and I was like, whoa.
Whoa.
But also,
yeah.
Whoa.
Whoa, yeah. Also, have you seen Gossip Girl?
I've not seen Gossip Girl. I know the twist. Thanks.
Shh. Oh, what? I didn't know I did that.
You spoiled it for me.
Okay.
So that was really cool.
My bad. Anyways.
XOXO. Anyways, going on to the spoiler time.
Anyways.
For you, season 5. Okay,
I'll show you the music video later.
Right.
He's really handsome in that music video. It's great.
So
he like low-key gets used in that in that music video. Anyways.
So the end note for you
Season 5.
Season 5 is Joe's in jail, rightfully so. Got his penis shot
Worse
off.
than death. Oh,
Love that.
I forgot about that. Yep, exactly. And he got a new name where people were making fun of him. I forgot what it was. But it was something like a dick joke or something like not having one or whatever.
But, and he's in his cell. He has like 3 books that he's forced to reread. And he's like talking about, all of
what
these
3
people
books would I pick?
All of these people sending me fan mail saying what they would do if they were in my box. And
yeah.
It's like, yeah, and I'm the freak. Maybe there's just something wrong with society. Maybe there's something wrong with you. It's just like,
I don't know, Joe.
I don't know, sir.
Maybe they're just other psychopaths.
That I kidnap and kill
right.
people in.
Maybe that just means that there are other psychopaths, which is like, duh. But maybe you're not special, Joe. Maybe there are other crazy people like you. So.
But it's, I don't know. Considering the end note that him jumping off that bridge and not coming out is like, yeah, you're forced to look at what a horrible person you are, and you know that you can't be forgiven.
Yeah.
Because you've done horrible things to people that you claim to care about.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe isn't a way to come back from it, so you just stop hurting people.
Yeah.
And then it's like, it ends on this point where it's like, man, isn't it crazy that everyone else is the problem and not me? And it's like, I don't care that he's in jail.
Uh-huh.
At least in the other one, he's able to see himself as he is and is forced to deal with the consequences. And here he's still able to push off the blame.
Here's my hot take, though. I feel like this finale for him is more in character for him.
Sure, I mean...
Even though it's not as satisfying as a viewer, I'm like, he would be that
like,
delusional.
Maybe this season would be fine if we never had season 4.
Yeah, that's true. If we never got that alternate ending, maybe this one wouldn't seem that bad.
Maybe, because I do
But it's like
I do like that whole
holding
finale
up a
episode of him
bone.
chasing Bronte
Yeah.
around the house and her outsmarting him,
Mm-hmm.
and then sometimes not. It's ugh, and then her just somehow breathing through the water that she drowned in. Crazy.
She takes a lot in that scene. I'm like, okay.
she
This
like
is why
runs
you
into-
should have just shot
she
him.
runs- She
I'm
should have just left him in the dang fire. Although they saved Kate from that, so apparently that was just like a,
she's got
not
like
killing
mildly
fire.
burned. I know. I'm like, okay. Also, I like to think that she went in the box to protect herself.
Maybe.
Because maybe the box is fireproof. I don't know. It would have.
Well, then that
I don't
would
know.
defeat the plan. They had to keep him in the box and burn the place down.
Yeah, but they don't know if the box is fireproof or not.
I don't know.
I guess. Ugh, I don't know.
Ugh.
It's just a bad plan. Well, if I have to see one more scene of a character pointing a gun at someone they know is dangerous and they know they're going to kill them anyways and not shoot them and that goes poorly for them, I might die. I need someone to make a movie where someone points a gun at someone
Deadpool.
and says, boo, and then shoots them or some stupid shit like that. I don't care. I just want you to actually shoot them. I'm not a writer. I just want you to... I don't care what your dialogue is. I just want you to actually shoot them.
Right.
And them actually die. Deadpool does that?
You were dragging on.
And if Joel had a gun, that's what he should have done to Abby. He said, I hate your monologue.
But
I hate this monologue.
no, I do really like the element of Bronte demanding him to take out his parts of what was her name? I forgot the first one's name.
Is it Beck?
Beck.
It is.
It is Beck.
Okay.
His parts that he put into her book, and giving her.
I did
her
love
story
that.
back.
Her agency,
I did
her
really
story.
Like that back. I really liked the twist that Bronte knew Beck and was one of her students, and so that's why she got into this whole thing about trying to, find Joe and make him face justice for everything. I didn't love the guy that was a part of that group. I thought.
No.
Like, even if you're going to go overboard, you go overboard in more ways than just this. And you would see this much sooner than you see it here.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree with that.
And then
it was like Chandler or something. I think that was his name.
And then
He
for
was
her to
annoying.
completely turn her back on this thing that she spent years working on, it was like, but we don't know he's a killer.
Yeah.
And it's like, did you just like not believe everything you were doing for a year? Because there's some pretty definitive evidence on at least most of that.
Yeah. She's like, well, we don't actually like know. And I'm like, girl. It reminds me of that scene in Barbie where Barbie's like, I don't want him to be sad, and they're like, girl, he took your house, he kicked you out, he's taken over your constitution,
all of
he
your people.
brainwashed all of your friends, girl. That's what it's giving.
But I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
this is really interesting. This is really nuanced. And then, like, she falls in love with him. And then, like, what does this mean going forward? And another thing is, like, even if she did say that he killed him, he could have still gotten out. And she could have continued to be an interesting character.
Yeah. Because, like, I don't know, have Joe's sweet talk, like, lawyers or whatever and be the master manipulator in court. That could have been a cool, like, part 2.
Yeah, the people
actually.
versus Joe Goldberg.
Yeah.
That would have been, ooh.
Oh, that would have, because they were already on his side at that point in the show, I think. Or maybe they were against him, but then she
They
came
were
out.
against him because they live streamed the kill.
Right, but then they were for him once she came out. I think.
He
said.
had an interview. That
Right.
turned everything around. And
Oh my
during it, she texted me,
God.
was like, "Hey, I didn't say anything, by the way, because I'm a guy's girl."
Yeah.
And it's like, "Ugh." And
He
you
gets-
admit that.
I just hate that for her. I don't know.
And then it just makes every like good scene with her be like, "But you weren't always a real one."
You were a real one.
But it
Sorry,
counted.
I'm yawning. I know.
I did also really like, however we got there, I did really love the scene between Marianne and her.
Mm-hmm.
I really loved the whole like discussion of like, no one thinks that they're gonna be the girl who falls in love with this kind of person.
Yep.
And that,
Until you are.
and it feels so good, and it's the shared experience that so many people
think
have.
You're an
think that you
exception. It's like dating a cheater and being shocked that he cheats on you. I'm like, duh. You're
But-
not special,
but
girl.
I don't know. I like approaching it like sympathetically and like, it's like you're not the only one to fall in this trap.
Mhm.
And I love her line, "As long as you're alive, there's time to get away."
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was a very good scene.
Her whole part in this
Mhm.
season was even more phenomenal. She has
Yeah.
never had a bad scene.
Yeah.
Love her. Love
Mhm.
Marianne.
Well, and I like the conversation because also, yes, it's annoying that Bronte is falling for it and falling into that trap again, but we've seen that happen so many times.
Well, but this is the first time that it's like, I'm a serial killer and I love you. And it's
Mhm.
like, I mean, at least when it was love, she was like, oh my god,
I'm
samesies.
also, yeah, same.
Let's talk about that.
Especially, I mean, that's also to not only have Bronte fall for that and not be a serial killer, to have her be her whole purpose and to the introduction to her character be against Joe and then fall for, I'm like, that's maybe a little too far. So we have some cool ideas here and they were just not fleshed out well.
Absolutely
at
not.
all.
And,
No.
trying to think what else was great. I'm going to talk more
Crazy.
about Reagan and Maddie and that whole thing.
Okay.
Having to kill your twin in the box. I love the scene where she had to realize.
'Cause you didn't do it in the womb. Sorry.
Woo, that was good.
Anyways.
But I love
sorry.
the scene because Joe's saying like, if this was reversed, she wouldn't hesitate. And then I love
Yeah.
her trying to like not saying that that's the case, but
Mhm.
trying to see if she could agree to that, like, you wouldn't
Yeah.
kill me if you had the chance, would you? And she's like,
Mhm.
girl, give me a chance.
Oh.
Find out.
Everyone by now. Like, come on.
Ugh, and I don't
Yeah.
know, they're just two completely separate characters.
It
and
was giving Helena and Heliar.
it so
Right?
is. Oh my
We've
gosh.
we've had some fascinating double character
Double roles?
acting
This is like
this
the year
year.
of double act.
Yeah.
roles. Seeing you, look at you, Mickey 17.
Looking at you,
Looking
Mickey
at
17,
Sophie
companion, yeah. Ugh,
Some
that's so great.
Great. But
anyways, yeah.
they're in that whole plant of like Maddie living Reagan's life and then being haunted by her in the mirror.
Yeah.
Such a great performance.
Mhm.
Teddy. I also really loved their half brother Teddy.
Yes.
I thought he
Aw,
brought a
that's
lot of fun energy with all of his
Mhm.
scenes. I love a good ride or die.
Yeah.
I love the way he was with Henry.
Yeah.
Whenever he wasn't
Very
psychotic,
sweet.
I loved the way that Joe and him interacted.
Mhm. And he's just like, girl. He'd be the one to be like, girl.
Girl.
Come on. He did this.
So.
He had you kill your twin sister. Like, girl. Girl. Let's be real.
A real one. A real one.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Who else do we want to talk about that we haven't touched on?
Great question.
Nadia?
Ooh, I love that they got Nadia out of jail.
Yeah.
And I hated hearing that apparently her entire family died from the domino effect of her going to jail.
Yeah.
It's like,
Poor her.
Wow.
She's gone through it.
that's crazy. And then freaking Marianne is like, yeah, my daughter's going to school, and just like, man, like the afterwards for you is a lot more different than the afterwards for her.
Not the time. Not the time. Read the room.
She's like, whenever I go to J.C. Penney with my daughter.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, you didn't go to jail?
You didn't go to jail. Dang.
Although she was in prison for a long time. And where was her daughter that whole time? Actually, I don't remember. They might have explained that.
I don't know.
But I was very surprised to hear that she still had her daughter.
Yeah. Well, that she still had her life, that she was still alive.
Oh, and then I really liked that she
Gagged.
got into art afterwards, and Kate was like funding her like
Yeah.
exhibition and all that stuff.
Good for
That was
her.
very nice. Bronte. Oh, and I also really liked them bringing Beck back for the little bits that she had, like the flashback
Yeah.
scene, and then like the thing of like her selling her own book,
Mm-hmm.
and her own book being more popular.
Yep, I loved the little detail. Yeah, it was more popular. It was better.
And I actually
Period.
I really liked whenever Bronte read the line from Doll's House, like the Ibsen quote in her book.
Yeah.
After she was like, "You can do so much better than an Ibsen quote. That's like derivative."
Mm-hmm.
And then she was like, "This is weird." I loved that reveal. I thought that was done really well.
Yeah.
What else? What else? What else? What
Any
else?
other
Killing Bob
thoughts?
was satisfying. And
Yeah.
that's another thing. I don't think any of the kills this season were like as nearly as iconic as the other seasons.
Yeah. Didn't care that Reagan died. Didn't care that Bob died. If anything, I was happy.
Yeah.
Hmm,
I don't know.
anyways.
I think that's
Anything
that's
else
essentially
before we
everything.
rank the seasons?
I think that's essentially it. Just a very derivative season. Some
Mhm.
key points. Love the twins.
Yeah.
But
I
Should
feel
do.
like, can we agree that this is the worst season?
oh, absolutely.
Okay, good.
So if I had to rank
Good.
the 5 seasons, I would say 5, 4, 2, 1, 3.
I feel like that's also what I would pick. Actually, and not just to like copy you, but like actually, I was like, oh, would I go in order? But I would probably put 3 above 2, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like part of my brain wants to put 3 above 1, but
I
really like-
understand that too. I was
don't
thinking
know.
I would.
I haven't seen either one in a while. Like I haven't seen them. I rewatched the first 3, I think, before I watched the 4th season, but I haven't rewatched any of them since the 4th season came out. So
I remember
That's how long
season
it's been.
2 was good. I mean, I think everyone can
Yeah.
agree season 3 was the peak.
so good.
But then, like,
Yeah.
Love was in season 2, but she wasn't crazy Love yet.
Yeah.
And they had some of the more boring side characters.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, yeah.
3
And then
was
season
so.
1 had.
Season 1's very
like,
iconic.
I think her name was Peaches. Or, like, the best
Yes.
friend.
Peaches. Oh my gosh. That was so great.
Iconic. We lost a lot of.
JoJo.
we lost
or
some real
whatever.
ones along the way.
No, for real. She was kind of annoying, but also like so iconic that I didn't care. It's like
She gave me
was
some Santana vibes.
Yes, that's exactly what I was gonna say. I was like, it's giving Santana, where I'm like, girl, you're sometimes like aggravating, but I also love you. So go, girl.
God, you're so aggravating, but you're eating, but you're serving
but
when
then
you
you're
do it.
singing. Oh, what did she sing with Barry Allen? Oh, Smooth Criminal.
Smooth criminal.
Oh my God. I'm like,
now you're calling him
you're-
Barry Allen.
Is that not his name?
That's the Flash's.
Yeah, I
alter
know.
ego.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know the actor's name. Sorry.
I hate that I forget. Grant. The last name is Grant.
Grant Gustin?
Grant Gustin.
Yes.
His first name is Grant.
Okay, I needed the first
See,
name and then I
we-
got
we-
it.
we
Exactly. We thought of Santana
Oh,
and
rest in
then
peace.
we
Naya
finished each
Correa.
other's sandwiches. There we go.
Anyways, so
Or
that's.
sentences. God damn it, Frozen. I
But yeah, I
hate
would
you
say
for
season 1
messing
and
that up.
season 2. I can understand them being interchangeable.
Yeah.
I think Beck. I don't know. I liked Beck a lot. I think it's really funny that, speaking of Frozen, the only thing I knew.
She was Anna.
She was
or
Anna
Anna.
or Anna from Once Upon a Time, and I was like, I
What?
couldn't stop seeing that the entire show.
What a whiplash. Anytime she did something so not Disney princess, you were like, gagged. You were like,
Sleeping with your
Anna.
therapist.
Anna, why would you do this?
Why would you sleep with your therapist?
Why
when
would
he
you
already knows you have
masturbate?
daddy issues.
Why would you masturbate in front of a window? An open window. First of all,
Love is
that's wild.
Anna, the window is open. So is that door. Woo.
Oh my
Thank
god, we
you.
need to be done. We need to be done. You're done. You're done.
Right.
First of all, I can't. I'm dying. We need to be done.
Any last things to add?
Nope.
Okay, so we've officially watched all 5 seasons of You.
Ugh.
So let us know what you
Anyways.
guys think of that final season. What do you think of You overall? What's your favorite season of the 5? Yeah, and stay tuned. This is a very exciting week, so we'll have some more videos coming up. Don't mind her. Don't mind her. Stay tuned for Lilo and Stitch, Mission Impossible Final Reckoning, Fear Street, Prom
Woo!
Queen. A lot of fun stuff coming out.
What a triple
Triple
threat there.
this weekend. And then the
No,
finale
for
of The
real.
Last of Us as well this
Ugh.
weekend.
Quadruple threat.
So stay tuned for all of
Anyways.
that. But in the meantime, I am your host, Luke.
And I'm Alicia.
And thank you guys so much for listening to us yap. Take care.
Bye.